Hello, everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here for another episode of So Chatty, and today we're going to do an AI thing. But before we get into AI and how it might work in your quilting and in your sewing, because we're going to look at it from two points of view, we're going to see what we've been up to. And Walter's been making a shirt, as you know. How far have we gotten on that shirt?
Well, not since last sew day. I haven't worked on it, so
Oh.
and I haven't done any more free motion.
Oh. He'll have an excuse for this.
Yeah,
He's
well,
been
I've
busy
been
with
busy.
the garden and other things. Yeah. Okay. That's
My mind's been elsewhere
Where has it been? Didn't find
on
it.
all different things.
Did you trip over it in the hallway? No. Okay. So, anyways, I've been busy though. So I have all the blocks done now for my Japan quilt. And I have decided that I am going to use sashing in this. I don't have a picture of it right now, but the first row I've already put the sashing in it to see how it would look, and I like the way it looks. And I think it's coming along quite nicely, so I'll carry on with that. I started another project today because I was curious how it would look, and that's an Adam Sews pattern. I'm not going to show you anything today. I just did one block of it, but I think it's going to be a fairly fast project, but I think it'll look quite good, and I'll be showing that to you in the coming days, weeks, years, whatever, as I'm working through it. So yeah, so I'm happy with the way this is turning out so far. What do you think?
Yes, it looks good.
Yeah, push a button as we said. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, reminds me of some kind of television program. Yeah, that's good. Anyway, so yeah, now the tricky part of it will be once I get all of the flimsy done, is how will I quilt it? Because there's a lot of stuff happening in the center blocks, and I don't think I want to do an edge-to-edge design that just goes over top of them. You could, but those ones that are embroidered are kind of dense, so not really sure how that would turn out. So I might have to figure out some custom quilting around it on each of those blocks, and I'll use the computer on Lucy for that quilt path. And I can probably do it in such a way that I would do the same pattern, but it would be block by block, and I would do it around without going over the center part. I'm not really sure how that's going to work yet. That's something that I have not really done.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be confident enough to do it free motion.
Oh, I'm not letting you. So, I mean, that wasn't even in the mix here on that one. No, no, not yet. You're not ready for that. Well, you probably could, because you've been working in little blocks like this. You probably could, but I'm not letting you. Lucy will put up a fight though, because she likes you. She hates me. But yeah, so that's the same story with the cat. Anyways, yep, so that's coming along nicely. And as Walter said, he hasn't done any more free motion quilting since we got back from Japan. Needs to get on with that.
Yeah, I know. I need to break the seal.
Yes, you do need to break the seal, because your muscle memory might be dying.
Yeah.
Who knows with that. So announcements. Sewing with me on Wednesdays as usual. Links in the show notes where it always is. And Monday Morning Coffee this coming Monday with me is going to be alive. I've already put the splash screen up on my channel for it. That's at 8 a.m. Eastern time, and that is a live show. And that means I will be hoping that you'll get into the chat if you can get up that early, and most of you are up that early, I have found in the past. Well, it's not that early, only if you're out west, it's really early. But, you know, this is an opportunity in a live format for you to ask questions, make comments that I can, you know, elucidate further. Ooh, nice word, elucidate. Yeah, where did I come up with that one? And so, yeah, I really need your interaction. Once a month, I do this live, and we can interact. Now, as far as Stephen and Walter Live goes this week, there isn't one, as we told everybody last week, because we're going to a little family event over at our nephew's to hear our great nieces do a concert because they're very musically talented. And they do one of these every summer for everybody. And it's a shame that they have to play their father's music.
And
It's old 70s crap.
and they used to have it on Saturday,
Yeah.
but this year they
They
decided
decided to put it on a Sunday and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And yeah, we just figured it's maybe too much to try and get everything fit into a limited time space. So we're taking a week off. But we will be coming back the following week, and I've already started working on what we're going to talk about there, which Walter doesn't know yet, but it will be exciting. Yes. Okay. Oh, and on Monday morning coffee, there will be a little something special that I'm doing. I'm having a special guest on the live. And that's what I'm going to tell you. Yeah, so tune in. Even Walter doesn't know about that yet. And it's working in his mind. He's trying to figure out who is it?
I
What
don't
is it?
care.
How are you doing? Don't you love his enthusiasm? Curb it. Yeah. Okay. And on the Idiot Quilter last week, more about the Japanese quilt and the little problem I had with the embroidery files and that kind of thing. So, okay. So, I think that's all the announcements. So, today what we're going to do is we're going to look at AI. Now, we have looked at AI before. However, we're going to take a little deeper plunge into it today because I did a little something earlier this week where I was playing around with the AI and I want to see how well it could actually help me write a pattern, an original pattern. Now, I have tried this in the past and it's not that good, or it wasn't. But you know, they have this term for AI now. It's called generative. And it's basically AI learning from everything that people input into it, and it does its searches and it builds its own little database or library. I'm not sure what you would call it, where it basically is teaching itself. Yeah, kind of scary because they might get a little too smart for us as time goes on. I did see a video on YouTube. I did a little search, and there was a lady on there about last September who did something like this. She got an AI to kind of write her a simple quilt pattern, and she pulled it all apart, like what the AI was doing wrong and everything like that. And her conclusion was AI isn't at the ability to be able to write us patterns yet. That was in September. I tried it, and it was 100% better than what she had. And we basically both used the same AI. We used the one that's built into Google, Gemini. Anybody has access to that. You look for the little star up at the top of the Google screen, and it's right there for you. And I was kind of impressed with it. It's still not perfect, but kind of impressed. So I tried several other things and built on it, and that's what we're going to talk about, and we're going to show you in a moment. And then I did one for making a shirt pattern, and Walter decided to do his own kind
Well,
of
no,
thing.
what happened was Steve sent me a copy of what he did, and wanted me to have a look at it. But for some reason, when I tried to open it on my machine, it wouldn't give me any.
It wouldn't give him the stuff that I had.
Yeah, it wouldn't give me the instructions. So in the last 15 minutes today, before coming on this, I went into Chat GPT and started doing my own.
And it did a much better job, but we're going to compare them. You'll get to see the difference between the two. And as I said, I use Gemini, which is built into Google, but then there's the one that's really famous. Everybody knows about Chat GPT, and I have used Chat GPT before.
And how I started the Chat GPT is I put your link into the Chat GPT. So the question on the link that you put in there said, design me a 2-color shirt or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it picked up on that. So that's how it started.
Well, we're jumping way ahead of ourselves here. So we'll come back to all this in a minute. But what I want to show you is, first of all, I went into the AI and just asked it a more general question, first of all. And I wanted to know what it could do. What can AI what AI can do for quilters. I wanted to know just in general what it could do. And this is what it came up with. It says it'll spark quick ideation. Image generators can visualize abstract concepts, colors, or feelings to establish a risk-free mood board or design direction. We'll come back to that about the mood board because I tried a little experiment I'm going to show you. Test mock-ups digitally. You can upload a photo of your quilt top or jacket to swap out high contrast borders or low contrast bindings and preview the results instantly. Well, I actually did something like that too. I fed in a picture of a quilt that was AI generated and asked it to refine it. Curate targeted inspiration. Conversational AI can narrow down search options to locate specific block variations or fast-track video tutorials better than standard search engines. We are going to have a little experiment, not today. Next week, we're going to have a little conversation with AI. This conversational part. Rather than seeing everything up in writing, it will talk to you and it's like you're talking to a person and the two of you are brainstorming together. So we're going to do that next week on here, sort of a continuation of this. Streamline sewing room tasks. Specialized applications use AI to organize fabric stash inventories, map out deadlines, or plan structured project times, and overcome design blocks. If you struggle with traditional drawing, AI acts as an accessible doorway to translate rough concepts into a clear visual starting point. Now, I have not tried that one about streamlining your sewing room tasks. This is kind of intriguing. Like, it can create a project timeline. I'm wondering if you can have it actually do a scheduler of some sort. I haven't tried that yet with it. Probably can. Now it says what it can't do. Calculate fabric yardage. Yes, it can. I don't know why it's AI and it's supposed to be current information. Why it said it can't do that? I made it do it. It did it. Right, functional sewing patterns. Okay, this is, yeah, that's what we're going to look at a little bit more closely today. It's not perfect with it. Account for seam allowances. It says it can't account for seam allowances. Yeah, it did. It says AI does not naturally factor in standard quarter-inch seams or physical way fabric behaves when cut on a bias. Well, I'm not sure about the bias part, but in the things that I used, it came up and said, you know, it said you needed a quarter-inch seam allowance, and it had measurements like, okay, 2.5-inch unfinished, 2-inch finished. So it's accounting for a quarter-inch seam allowance. Differentiate ironing from pressing. Well, I didn't put anything in about that. And replicate true craftsmanship. Perfect symmetry can be generated at the click of a button, but AI cannot replace the satisfaction of handwork texture or intentional physical errors. Well, okay, yeah. But I mean, you still have to, it still needs a human being to finalize whatever it comes up with. So I think the way to look at AI when it comes to quilting is as inspirational as a starting point where you do your own refining. And basically that's what it says here. Treat AI exactly like digital design partner, not a master quilter. Use it to generate color palette combinations or rough concept layouts. However, always pull out your physical ruler, cheat sheets, and manual calculators when it comes to cutting your actual fabrics. So yeah, it can't do it all yet. But I would say within another year, it can probably do these things because it's learning all the time. That's the generative properties of it. So I decided to give this a whirl. And I'm going to show you how, step by step, what I did to get what you're going to see. Keeping in mind, it still needs human input. So let's go here. All right. So it said on that we just looked at that you could do an image board. Now, if you're not sure what an image board is, or I don't want to call it design board because we often refer to design boards and design walls when we're putting physical blocks up and trying to figure out our order. but a design or an image board, or sometimes it's known as an inspiration board or a concept board or mood board, where you have an idea, you have colors, you have maybe your inspiration things like fabric swatches, pictures, basic design or something, and you kind of put them all on a board, physically put them on a board, and you add to it as you collect things for it. And the idea here is you'll eventually come up with combination and elements that you want to use in a project. They were all a buzz a few years ago. Everybody was doing these boards, kind of a thing. I tried one, never did much for me. But a lot of people use them for designing, like if they're redecorating their home and they're going to get new furniture, so they'll put swatches of fabric on it and color combination and paint chips and pictures from magazines and all this kind of stuff. I think they spend so much time doing that, they never get around to doing the decorating. I don't know. But I thought, what the heck, let's try it with AI, shall we? So this is what I put in. Create an image board that I can use to create a quilt that uses shades of blue and orange and is pieced with, and that should say, with half square triangles, flying geese units, and 2.5-inch squares. So I just gave it 3 elements in that and gave it a suggestion of colors. Well, here's what it drew for me. Here's my image board. So it's got a couple of colorways on here. It has a basic quilt made up with those elements. There's flying geese, there's half square triangles, there's squares. I mean, this is a mess.
Can you blow that up a little?
I don't have a bomb.
There we go.
Okay, that's better. So you see, this would definitely not be like, this isn't right, but it gives you an idea, a jumping off point. Then here it actually took a half square triangle done in the orange and blue color shade, a set of flying geese, a 4 patch. It's got, I didn't tell it in that prompt, that's all I gave it, and just gave colors and basic units of patchwork. It came up with these fabrics, which I like these fabrics they came up with. I mean, I don't know where they came from, but it's pulled these fabrics together and it's given you quite a variety. It's got other like piecings done with, combinations of all those elements. It even pulled up some pictures as inspiration in here. Geometric designs showing this drawing. So, I mean, I don't know why we have a set of keys or whatever these are over here, strings with paper on them. But yeah, I think this is quite interesting, the way this came up with this. And of course, I could go in and customize it. I could give it different color combinations. I could give it different shapes and things like that in there. But right there, off the bat, I don't know about you, but I'm looking at this. This gives me lots of ideas to work with. So it's a start. So it's good for that. Well, I went further. I actually, earlier this week, created this quilt pattern. It's an image. This was all done by AI within seconds. I said the same kind of prompt that I just gave up here I gave it colors, and I gave it flying geese, half square triangles, and squares. This is what it came up with. Now, it's not perfect. If you look at it, you couldn't make a quilt just from that, because there's some weird looking pieces here like this one and that. Let's see, can I blow that up? Yeah, you see like something like that. I mean, it's a rectangle with a triangle kind of a deal, but it's how it's situated on the quilt. But the color combination is not bad, and even put a border on it for me, and I didn't ask for that. This was generated within 30 seconds, and I liked it. I thought this has got potential for a quilt. Of course, I'd have to alter the dimensions and the pieces with it, but
well, actually, you could probably do it. I'm just looking at the blocks there.
Yeah,
like you do. You can't see it, but you could do like there are different sizes than what you're used to uniform sizes,
Yeah.
right? But it's incorporating different sized blocks within the unit.
Yeah, but mathematically this won't work
Why?
because everything has to be divisible by the block sizes. So for example, your basic block here, that's not even a square, is 2.5 inch
No,
square.
but if you look at this whole unit,
Oh, you're
as
pointing. No
one
one can see
unit.
what you're pointing at. Yes, it is. You can, but you couldn't sew this. Like, see, look at this. These
Yeah,
pieces.
that's true.
You have to go in, and I did go in, and do I have a picture of that?
Yeah, you could sew that. Come back.
No, you can't sew that exactly the way it is here.
Those are rectangles.
Yes, they're rectangles, but it's the way you'd have partial seams
Okay, whatever.
and Y seams. But if you reach over there on my tray, underneath the recipe, there is what I put into Q. I took this and developed it further. So oh, actually, I do have a picture of this that I can show you on the screen. I just remembered. Just give me a second here, and I'll find it. If I can find my thing. Because I took this idea and I redeveloped it in EQ8 so that things would fit together. And I'll show you the difference. Just gotta find where I put that. Pictures for here we go. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So I went into EQ8, ignore the colors. I was just using these as placeholders. I didn't put the actual colors in. But here's the same quilt. But now they'll fit. I changed the pieces so that mathematically everything will work together. You see?
Yeah.
How that? I didn't use the exact same colors. That was in the other, only because I just wanted placeholders because I was figuring out how to get these flying geese in. But there's a problem with this. In EQ8, this measures to be 22 inches square. So the next stage of this, which I will do, is I'm going to have to go into EQ8 and I'm going to have to blow it up to the size of a regular quilt. Right now it's a mini quilt. That would mean making these flying geese. I'd be dealing with probably 3/4 inch pieces in that, even smaller. But between the AI, it developed the concept, and then going into EQ8, you can come up with something that's kind of neat. And of course, I changed the color combination, like I said. But the way that the electric quilt, or not the electric quilt, the AI came up with it, you could not sew it that way. It wouldn't work with it. It looks like it would work, but it wouldn't work because these pieces aren't right. Where they're like, look at, see this one? It's chopped off.
Yeah,
so you could develop a unit like this. Then you have to fit it all in.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. I'll print this out for you. You make a quilt. And if you can, fine. I'll take it.
I know you'll be ticked off.
You can't do it.
Okay, fine.
Well, I shouldn't say you couldn't do it. You could do it, but you'd be pulling your hair out trying to get it all to fit in together. Because it doesn't know anything about sizing.
No, I know.
So, yeah. You're smug little assholes sometimes, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I am.
So, where are we going here? All right. So, basic concepts. So then I said to it, test this picture of a quilt to see if it's feasible. Well, funny thing is, this is actually based on something AI already found. It violated copyright. It says that from a pattern testing perspective, this digital rendering showcases the abracadabra quilt pattern designed by Janet Clare. It serves as a visual guide to examine the block construction, alignment, and color placement before cutting into real fabric. So basically, it stole it. And you can get the actual pattern right here. It's on Etsy. So here, and they took one part of it out of it. So you see, if we go over here for a second and look at this, there's the quilt, but it's a little bit more elaborate.
Yeah.
You've got those points. Actually, that's a really nice quilt. I'll bet you that's a bitch to construct.
Yeah.
You see, and see here, these pieces that looks like they run into the other. Well, they're not. Those are all, oops, squares. That is a fairly complex design. Maybe I should buy it. Take a look at it, except it's reminiscent to me
Well,
of
actually,
Alaska.
they've got it there, sort of.
What? Which?
This is there too, that in different colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see, AI cheats. Well, that's how AI works. It scours in lightning speed the internet to find something that's close to what you've given the prompt for. That is a nice quilt, though. I really like that. I should maybe explore purchasing that. I don't know. I wonder how much they want for it. But anyways, I died. Oh, $19.60 Canadian. Oh, I wonder what the tricks are in it. Sorry, talk amongst yourselves. I'm just looking here. I'm shopping. I don't know. Well, we'll just leave that for future, because I might actually get that. I like that quilt. Anyways, back to this. Well, you see, though, AI led me to something I didn't know that existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's maybe dangerous going down the AI in terms of shopping. It's an enabler. Quilt block and piecing breakdown. Okay, so it says here, the design is built completely out of classic geometric components you've been working with. Center block features a 9 patch with alternating 2.5-inch squares. Inner star points are formed by light blue half square triangles. Border tracks, they have flying geese, outer corners, okay, etc. If you're planning to modify this design to match your initial idea, substituting the green accents with shades of vibrant burnt orange and peach will create a classic high contrast complementary color scheme against the existing navy and blue palette. So it's giving you suggestions for different colorways. If you'd like to move forward with planning, now this is where AI comes up, which is kind of neat. Don't know where to go to next? It gives you suggestions. It says, if you'd like to move forward with planning, tell me, what are the final dimensions you want for this quilt? Are you planning to use yardage or pre-cuts like layer cake or fat quarters? Can I help you calculate the fabric requirements or sketch out a revised color layout? So what I did was I put, I wanted twin size and I'll be using yardage, I said. So it's come up with this. To adapt the 64 by 64 inch abracadabra design into a standard twin size quilt, typically around 70 by 90, using your desired blue and orange palette, you will need to scale up the layout. Since the original pattern is a square, the most efficient way to stretch it is into a twin size rectangle without altering the core block proportions is by adding substantial top and bottom accent borders along with uniform outer frame. So basically it's taken an easy way out, saying just put big fat borders on it and make it the size you want. Now the fabric selection guide, yardage, it's telling you here the colors for each size. So there's a fabric A, a fabric B, a C, and a D, and these are what it's suggesting from what I suggested, and where these colors would be used in what pieces. Then it does this, yardage. Now remember back that other thing I showed you at the beginning, it said it can't calculate yardage? Yes, it can. Does it here. It says estimates include a standard 10 to 15% buffer for cutting mistakes, shrinkage, and standard 44-inch width quilting cotton. Okay, that's interesting. It takes into consideration that you might make a mistake when you're cutting it. When you buy kits in quilt stores, oftentimes they don't bother to take that into consideration. Or sometimes they want to sell you an oops packet. So for extra money, you can buy extra fabric in a package in case you make a mistake. This one's telling you right here that in its estimation of how much fabric you're going to need, it's built in this buffer zone, 10 to 15%. So here it's telling you how much, what the color is, and and how much you're going to need and what it includes, like 5.5 yards of the navy blue fabric. That includes your outer border and the binding. And then there it goes there. So how accurate these are, I think they're pretty close from it. I mean, you know, you'd still have to do your own calculations to a point, but it definitely helps. And it even goes into the quilt backing. Now it says it needs 5.5 yards of standard 44-inch fabric piece with a vertical seam, or 2.25 yards of 108-inch wide back. I didn't ask it for this. You saw my prompt. My prompt was just test it out. And this is what it's, and in this part it said, would you like the yardage and stuff? And I said, yeah, give me yardage. I didn't try to do one for a layer cake or fat quarters, but I guess that's an option. Then it talks about adjusting the layout to twin proportions. So if you want to get it up to 70 by 90 from 64 by 64, it says to add a 3-inch finished border, cut 3.5 inches. So there, it is taking into consideration your 1/4-inch seam allowance. That thing said it couldn't do that. Well, it can. And then it talks about the top and the bottom. Add a 13-inch finished extension to both the top and bottom. Like, I would never put a border on that big on a quilt. But it's showing you in case, you know, some people might. I would think that's just way too much. Unless you had a really interesting print or something you want to use. Would you like advice on the best methods for cutting and pressing your 2.5-inch squares and your HSTs to keep the points perfectly sharp, or should we focus on picking a backing fabric style? Well, I didn't bother with that, but I went on to this, but can you write a functional sewing pattern for this, for this quilt design? And it says, here is a complete functional sewing pattern tailored to your requested colors, components, half square triangles, flying geese, and 2.5 squares, and scaled to a standard twin size 70 by 90. So now, Midnight Tangerine twin medallion quilt pattern. Now, I have a feeling they've gone in and they have found another pattern that's close to this one. And that's where they're pulling up the information. So here they're telling you your fabrics again. Here they're telling you the yardage, but now they're specific about what you need. For the center star points, you need to cut 2 5.25-inch width of strips, and then subcut it to 12 5.25 by 5.25 squares for the half square triangles, and etc. Well, I'm not sure if this is absolutely accurate. I suspect it's not perfect, but it's definitely a jumping off point to give you an idea of how much fabric you need and how much cutting is going to be involved. And it does that with each one of the pieces. Then, component construction. You didn't know how to do half square triangles. It tells you how. It tells you the fabric you need and then the method. Well, is this correct? Mark a diagonal line on the back of all fabric C squares. Place a fabric C square right sides together with a fabric A square. Stitch a 1/4-inch seam down both sides of the drawn line. Cut directly on the drawn line. Press open toward the navy fabric. Okay, yes, that's exactly how you make a half square triangle. Trim. Carefully square up and trim all HST units down to exactly 4.5 by 4.5 square. You will have 24 units total. Okay, it's even built into it, which I like, is that you're working with oversized pieces. Because if you were to actually make 4.5 by 4.5-inch half square triangles, you would have to probably work with 4 7/8 squares. And I hate cutting 1/8 of an inch. So anytime, if I wanted, what I would do is, actually, I think they were being generous. I don't know if you even need to have 5.25. I think 5-inch would be enough, I think. So to trim it down to 4.5. But it's allowing for that. And that's probably the best way. However, they talk about, with the flying geese, no waste method. So there are many different ways to make flying geese, so many at a time. Same with the half square triangles. And again, it gives you the instructions for this and tells you how to trim it up to get 2.5 by 4.5-inch flying geese, which is what you need for this particular quilt. And then it talks about assembling it. And it just talks, what do you put first and then sew and blah, blah, blah. Then they came up with this little diagram. This I found a little confusing. I think what they're showing here are the borders, the inner border and the outer borders, and then the side pieces, but they're really not showing, they're calling it the central medallion panel. So the central part of your quilt, but they don't really show you the blocks like most.
That's based on the one that's square, right? 64 by 64.
Made, yeah, the center part, but then they add these pieces on to make it the 70 by or whatever it was, 70 by 90. Okay. And it talks here about adding your borders, how to do that, final instruction. And then it asks, would you like some ideas on modern quilting motifs like straight line or orange peel walking foot designs that would emphasize these starports? Or should we talk about how to match binding to your navy borders? Well, okay, 2 more suggestions here. I didn't go any further, but for kicks and giggles, why don't we say, give me some ideas for modern quilting motifs. I'm curious to see what it comes up with. Echoing matchstick lines, walking foot. The look, sleek, high-end, and contemporary. How it works. Quilt straight lines parallel to each other across the entire quilt surface. Space them irregularly, mixing widths of 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and 1/4 inch apart to mimic barcode patterns or modern architectural lines. Why it fits. It acts as a textured backdrop that visually anchors the loud orange and navy color contrast without competing with the patchwork. So it also gives you reasons why these different designs work with this particular quilt. Something called angular geometric radiance. And they also suggest what you're using, walking foot. They are assuming that you are doing this on a domestic machine, not on a long arm. And it just explains how to do that as well. The orange peel as well, which is a classic. Chevron brakes. And then it's asking, what is your comfort level with machine quilting? Straight line, walking foot, or free motion? Can I break down the exact thread choice and tension tips? It goes on and on. It keeps giving you these prompts that can help you fine tune whatever you're going to do. We're not going to go any further with this right now. But I think this is definitely a great aid in designing a quilt. It's, you still have to remember it can, and it says right here, they warn you, AI can make mistakes, so double check responses. Don't take everything that it says as being exactly the way it needs to be done, because there could be mistakes. You have to still take control of it yourself, the creative control of it. So I thought, all right, this was for a whole quilt. What about just do a simple block to start with? Maybe that would be the way to go. You build a block, and then that block you're going to use as the foundation for a quilt. So I did. I said, create a quilt block that uses a combination of half square triangles, flying geese units in shades of blue. This is the picture it came up with. Looks actually pretty damn good in that. Unlike the first one I put in, these blocks are all mathematically workable. Except I did get confused in this in a bit, as you'll see. If you want to bring this design to life, tell me. Your desired finished block size, so you had to tell it it's your finished block size you want it. Your quilting experience level, so, if you're beginner, intermediate, or advanced. If you need step-by-step cutting chart, piecing instructions. And I can calculate the exact fabric cuts and dimensions for you. So I just decided to go with the last one. I need step-by-step cutting chart. And so it came up and said, to create an accurate cutting chart, we will use a standard 12 by 12 inch finished block. And notice they say 12.5 by 12.5 unfinished. So it's taking into consideration, again, your 1/4 inch seam allowance. This size divides beautifully into a 6 by 6 grid, 6 by 6 grid, making each small unit 2 inches finished. So There's your fabric requirements based on what I said about blues. Now here's the cutting chart. So for fabric A, I need to cut 4 2.5-inch squares. Fabric B, I need to cut 1 3.5-inch square for the center HSTs. That HST is going to be made with this background color. And then we have these 4 other squares. Outer flying geese border. So they've divided it up. They're talking right here, this center part, and they're considering this a border with the flying geese. I wouldn't have called it a border, but because it's a block, but I guess. So it tells you what you need, how much, what you got to cut, and the corner blocks. Then it gives you how to assemble it. Now I looked at this in a little bit more detail, and it's pretty accurate in the way it's telling you how to assemble it, which means that I think that the way the cutting instructions it's given are pretty accurate for this particular block. And then how to piece the rows. Then it asks you, do you prefer the 4 at a time, no waste method of flying geese? So it's giving you another methodology. Or would you like to scale this up to a 14 or 16-inch block instead? Want to make even bigger quilt? So it gives you these options. I didn't bother to, well, I did one. I said, calculate the yardage needed for this block. And so it did. Gave me a chart. Tells me how much I need to make the block. And then multi-block scaling. So if you were going to make this into a bigger piece, like this one says a 4-block runner, that's a table runner. It tells you how much you need for that. If you want to make a large throw, how much you need of that. So I said, make a quilt that is 60 by 72 inches using this block and includes an inner and outer border. So it tells me right here, the layout for it, what I need, how much fabric I need, and what I have to cut to make that block into an actual quilt, the assembly instructions, etc. And then I even had it calculate the backing fabric and the binding strips for it as well. And backing fabric, it gave me both options for your standards with the fabric, or if I was using wide back. And binding strips, and how you calculate how much you would need. You know, it's everything right there. How long did this take to generate? Less time than it took me to explain it to you with it. So if you're a pattern writer, I could see this as making your life a little easier. You still have to do editing and testing, but there it is, entire quilt. So I think that's, yeah, I had all that, especially for creating AI quilt. Yeah. So I think AI is getting to the point where, well, actually, I know there are some patterns out there that you can buy that have been AI generated, but they haven't been tested. And the person who did it, these are the kinds of things you'll find on sites like Etsy. People are trying to make a quick buck. And because you can't read the entire pattern on Etsy, you know, it's just like buying a pattern in a store. It's in a package kind of a thing, and you can see the front and the back pages, but you can't see the detailed instructions unless you take it out of the package. And sometimes shop owners don't like you doing that. So you got to beware of what the patterns are that are being written online. So that brings up the question of, are we keeping you up?
Yes, I'm bored of listening to quilting stuff.
Oh, fine, we're getting to your shirt one in a minute. Gee, Mr. Anxious here. Then I can sleep. What was I going to say? How do you tell? How do you know if it's been AI generated? Well, you really don't unless you can see the whole pattern and read through it. So I guess you have to be careful. I would say that now, like I said, that abracadabra quilt, it's got the name of the creator of it, and I know who that person is. She has other patterns as well, so probably pretty legit. But you know, some of these ones that are on things like Etsy and that, they could be from overseas, and they're just trying to turn a quick buck. It's kind of like going on YouTube and seeing those 5-minute crafts or cooking hacks.
Yeah, you may have to be careful of what you're purchasing.
Yeah. So it's buyer beware on that kind of thing. So yeah, this is all about quilts. But what about shirt patterns? So I put one in and I tried to send it to Walter to check it over, and for some reason it wouldn't come up on his screen. So what I'm not going he's came up with something better, but he used a different AI model, and that also brings up the question which AI is the best one to use. I don't know. You have to play around with them and see what suits your purposes. Um, so just very quickly, this is what I did. I just put in create an image of a man's short sleeve shirt that uses two complementary colors of fabric. That's all I told it. This is the picture it came up with. I don't like those colors, but that's what it came up with. Ooh,
They can't see
sorry.
it.
Yeah, this is what it came up with. So there's my prompt. I'm not going to go through this all because Walter found something more, but I just very quickly, it tells you the materials that you would need, pattern pieces to cut. So these pattern, you're supposed to cut front
Yeah,
right, two
but
short
it's not
sleeves.
telling me
What sizes?
what sizes for
No.
one thing.
And then it tells you very quickly how to assemble it. I asked for cutting instructions. It's telling me here what fabric. The only thing is how much fabric to need. Well, it's telling me how to cut it. It's not telling me how much fabric I need because it doesn't know the size.
It doesn't know the size. No.
So we go down here. Now, it did come up with this though. It said, if you want to start cutting your fabric, let me know. Your measured chest size so I can calculate your layout, square sizes, your desired seam allowance, and if you need step-by-step step drafting guide. I said chest size 40. So it came up with these types of measurements: back, shoulder, slant. I don't know. It's all Greek to me. Had a drafting guide, and it's talking about. I think this is for drawing out your pattern, which that's not so convenient. That's really taking you back to square one. So it does all of that. It's exact piece dimension layout. Against these finished dimensions. I don't know what that means. Does that
Yeah, well, you don't have a shape either that you're working from. You're just
right.
just giving you this is what piece you gotta but in shirts you need a shape.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it asked other questions. At this point, this is where I stop. But you took it.
I haven't really used AI at all much, and I went into ChatGPT and I just put in the same question he did, and it came up with a picture of this shirt.
I like this one better. Although this kind of looks FIFA.
Yeah.
But
well, you picked orange and blue. Maybe that was on your mind.
Well, I guess that's why I did it. Well, orange and blue are complementary colors, so that's why I picked them.
Okay. So
oops, just a second.
It gave me it generated two pictures, this one and another one, where it shows you what pieces you need, right? Like of each different color, right? So you do need, that one's a front piece and half a back piece for blue. And they've done the pocket in blue and the sleeve in blue, and they've got a sleeve cuff. They've got a collar stand and a collar, right? And they're doing the collar. It looks they're doing the collar. They're splitting the collar in two, and they're splitting the yoke in two.
Well, that's because there's the two different colors. See in your diagram in the picture, you've got one part of your collar is blue, one part is yellow.
And what's interesting about that picture is from the front view, they've got the yoke, which is the part on the back, in two different colors. But in the back view picture, the yoke is all in blue.
Oh, up here you mean along the shoulders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit of
there's an error.
An error there.
Right.
So what's this one?
This one's another picture of the shirt. And this shows you all the pieces as well, but they're not in, like, the collars are It doesn't give you the exact shape of the collar because you couldn't be able to cut a piece out with that.
No.
Right? Now they're just giving you the shapes. There's no sizing here. You can't just print this off and cut it out, right? So you need to have sizing. That's the one problem with this pattern. Even when I asked for it to size it,
it wouldn't do it.
It gave me dimensions, but it didn't give you. It wouldn't give you dimensions of the pieces, right?
Oh, okay.
So if you want to, you have another picture? Yeah, see, here they give you the instructions on how to put it together. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of visual.
Yeah.
I didn't read it through all that carefully, but it looks generally the way you would put a shirt together.
I've noticed something with their pictures. They almost look like they're photos of an actual shirt.
Yeah.
It's like, look at how this is like shows a little wrinkle back here.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. So they've picked that up from somewhere.
Yeah, and it does say sew with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Use matching thread in all construction. Press each seam as you go. Right sides together unless stated.
So really, the most major problem with this is that you don't actually have, though, a physical pattern that you can print out.
Yeah, like, I mean, normally when I've done a shirt, when I get a PDF shirt, I get a shirt that's a range of sizes, right? Now, I did ask it. There's another side.
Oh, is there another one? Oh,
there you go. I asked it to size it, right? But again, the pieces aren't sized, but it does give you chest measurements and stuff like that for how it would work.
So what this chart, measurement chart, is this for different sizes?
Yeah, like extra small, small, medium, large, extra large. It doesn't blow up very well there. No. It's extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, all the way up to like about 4XL or 4XL, 5XL. So it gives you the range.
Oh, so giant.
But you still have to figure out the sizing of each of the pieces.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't give you that.
So
now that's what I've got after like 10 minutes. I generated all this stuff within 10 minutes.
So it's same picture.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I had two slides of that. But I maybe if I go a little further and ask it more questions to generate maybe a pattern for me to cut out the pieces and stuff like that, maybe it will give me that. I don't know.
So it would be interesting to see if it can actually draw a pattern.
Yeah.
And you'd have to tell it. So
I mean, in some ways, it's not bad if you had a pattern to put the shirt together, right?
Yeah.
And the pattern, sometimes when you get a pattern, like to put a shirt together, it's not usually that, it often isn't clear in certain areas as to how to put that shirt together, right?
I was just going to see, just as an experiment here, and it's probably won't work. Where is it? Okay. So let's go to mine.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say here, draw the pattern for making this shirt. Let's see what happens.
There we go. Nano banana.
Yeah, that's something that's tied in with Google for the AI. Nano banana. I can make
final... But that says a size medium.
Okay, but it says I can make final adjustments to this block layout for you. Let me know if you would like me to label specific instruction markings, like the buttonhole notches. Change the visual style to separate the pieces further across the grid. So let's see what it says. So you'd still have to, you would have to size it to print it out.
Not only that, those sleeves almost look like they're long sleeves.
Where are the sleeve pieces? Oh, green sleeve here. Yeah, they look like they might.
And they're only showing you the front panels. They're not showing you like the back panel or other pieces.
So it did say, do you need walking seams to ensure? What's a walking seam? Teal and orange front panels match the back perfectly. Would you like lips? Tips on how to fold and press the button, or do you have exact collar stay?
Yeah, there's like more stuff to it. Like you need interfacing for your button band, and you need interfacing for your collar and collar stand. And
it said, where was it that I saw that it said about spreading it out across other pages? It gave that suggestion. Oh wait, label specific. I can make any final adjustments to this block layout for you. Let me know if you would like me to label specific construction markings, change the visual style, or separate the pieces further across the grid. Okay. See what this does. Generating image with Nano Banana 2. Well, that doesn't really.
No.
But it's giving you a grid. Does that grid match pattern paper that you would trace onto?
I don't know.
I mean, these blocks might be 1-inch blocks, or I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, you'd have to do some refinement to that. I mean, is it worth it at this point in time to go for an
probably
AI
not
generated thing? However, you could get, like I said, AI to help you out to construct a shirt.
Yeah.
Because there are they do have the markings on the sleeve for the front and the back.
Yeah, I noticed that. They've got the little dart things.
Yeah.
On there. Now, if you were somebody who's experienced in writing patterns or something, I could see this being a help to you.
Yeah, it could help you if you're trying to create a pattern for a shirt. This may actually help you do that. You would have to refine the pattern itself, and the pieces for it to fit a person properly.
And there might be a way to actually get the AI to print this out in the actual size that you want, like over several pieces of paper, like a PDF, like what you print out your PDF.
I would imagine there may be.
There's probably a way to do that.
Now, mind you, I was operating on free Chat GPT, maybe.
Maybe on ones that you pay for, they get more. Because there are more sophisticated AI engines that most of us do not have access to, because they are something that are more for the industry, and they're paid programs. So, how are the manufacturers that create patterns for a business, what are they using these days? I'll bet you they're using a combination of humans and AI.
Yeah.
For a lot of it. There may even be actually computer programs that do this already. I don't know.
There probably are. There's probably industry programs that do this.
Yeah. I know that one of the things, when I first looked into AI for writing a quilt program, I asked what kind of software is available for writing a quilt pattern. The first thing they came up with was Adobe Illustrator. I think John of Art East uses Adobe Illustrator for creating his quilts. I'm not sure how it works. I've never used Adobe Illustrator before.
So when I worked in software development, and I left about 9 years ago now, we were slowly getting other pieces of software that would design software for you. So you put in their parameters and then it would spit it out, type of thing. And I worked on some of that. And right now, from what I know from talking to other people, they have a lot more of that now. that do that.
Now I know one of the comments someone's going to make about this AI and doing all of this and designing patterns at. They say, well, you can put pattern designers out of business if anybody can use this and it can generate whatever when it gets better. Yeah, it probably could. However, I think right now the way we should look at AI when it comes to quilting and into sewing clothing and that kind of stuff, look at it as something that gives you an idea. It roughs out something for you, and then it's up to you, the human, to refine it and make it work.
Like, I mean, right now, there's nothing stopping any individual without using AI to draft up their own pattern for clothing, right? Now, I could see that using AI is as an added thing to help you do that.
Yeah, as a tool. So I'm saying it's just another tool you can add to your tool chest of things.
It may even be an aid in helping you to check your pattern, you know, to see if you can, it helps you fix any flaws that you may have accidentally put into it.
Now, this just brought up an interesting idea. I'm not going to try it on here today, but I'll try it on my own and report back if I think it's really interesting. But you know, I've been having a lot of trouble with that Alaska quilt. I wonder if I plug the Alaska, ask the AI and say, show me the best way to put my pieces of the Alaska quilt together or something to that effect, and see what it came up with. I was going to YouTube to find videos for that. It might be something that would help you if you don't know how to do something in quilting. Like if this had been around when I first got into quilting, I could have gone into it as, show me how to make a half square triangle. It knows, it puts it up there real quick. So, you know, rather than hunting through YouTube, you hunt through AI, or let AI do the hunting for you. And AI will come up with videos too. This I've done before. I said, suggest YouTube videos that deal with this topic. It comes up with them. It comes up with a list of them. So I think a lot of people are underutilizing AI right now.
I think because it's new, and a lot of people aren't used to having to use it.
And a lot of people do not know how to search on Google effectively. You know, way back when Google first came out, and people who were into programming that knew something about Boolean searches and stuff like that, and Boolean terms that you use, like ands and or and all this kind of stuff, which I use some of those when I do searches now. And I mentioned this the other day to some people that, you know, they were looking for fabric on the Sew Group, and they couldn't find any, like in a Canadian store for it. I found it within seconds, because all I did was I put a plus sign at the end of the name of the fabric and put plus and the word Canada, and it limits the search to just Canadian stuff. And we found one in Manitoba for that person, for what they were looking for. So yeah, AI, you can talk to it in plain English.
Well, you can do that pretty much in Google too.
Well, you can too. Well, Google is being run by AI.
Yeah, but you can just sort of say, if you've got a question about anything, you just plug it into Google.
And that brings us to having a conversation with AI, verbal. And that's what we're going to do next week. We will have a special guest on here next week. Her name is She's listening. So, yeah, we're going to have a conversation with Echo about quilting and sewing on that. So stay tuned for So Chatty next week. I think it'll be very interesting. I've already done some experiments with it, and it's interesting, and it's also scary, as you're going to find out. So, okay, any final comments about all of this that we showed today?
Actually, it's just encouraged me more now to do some more stuff in AI.
I don't think we need to be afraid of it. Use it. We are the humans. Let's keep that in mind. As much as these AI products seemed human, they are not human. We still have the ultimate control. So don't allow AI or any other kind of computer program to take your control away. Remember, we are still smarter than the average. Well, we're not anymore. give up on that one. I used to say that all the time. I'm still smarter than the average computer. Maybe not. So anyways, okay. So I hope that gets the wheels turning, and tune in next week and we're going to have a conversation with our little Echo over here. It's listening to me. Echo, are you listening?
Did you turn her off?
Echo, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. What can I help you with?
Nothing. Thank you. Go to sleep.
All right, catch you later.
Yeah, that and more next week. Okay, we're going to say goodbye. Have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm just going to interrupt my program for just 1 second to remind you to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for future notifications. That's all I ask of you. Show me a little love. Thanks.